everyone, how's it going? My name is Taylor and I am here on behalf of ILIO to show you guys how to use the THU plugin to monitor yourself while you're recording guitar. So let's say you have a track that you want to record guitar on and you want to capture your DI, meaning the direct input from your guitar, so that way later on you can either reamp it through a real amplifier or so that you can change the settings of whatever plugins you might be using when you enter the mixing phase. Now the way that you would normally go about doing this is getting a DI box and splitting your signal and sending the direct input of your guitar into your audio interface and sending the other part of your signal out into your amplifier or whatever you're monitoring yourself with. Well, one of the really cool things about using a guitar plugin like THU is you can actually monitor yourself with the guitar plugin while you're recording your DIs. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So let's start by opening THU. Now there are two different ways that you can do this. You can open the standalone player or you can insert it into a track on your DAW. I'm going to start by using the standalone player, but you can use it as a VST inside your DAW, and we'll go over that later. But first things first, we're just going to get an amp tone going here, and let me show you what I have. The song that I'm recording guitar on is more of a rock song, so I loaded up this 2210, this S Drive 1, and this M Vintage 4x12 cabinet. This is the sound that we get. Pretty rock and roll. You can see all of my settings there. Now let's talk a little bit about the routing. I'm going directly from my guitar into my audio interface, which is an Apollo Twin Duo. Now every interface is a little bit different here, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can mute the direct monitoring in your interface. Let me show you how it works in the Apollo. Depending on your audio interface, it might be a little bit different, but in the Apollo, you use software to actually go in, and you can see my track 1 right here. This is my guitar. And you just press the mute button and that will mute the direct signal. Now, not all audio interfaces are the same. Some utilize this function through software, some have a knob or a button directly on the front of the unit. So just make sure before you get started that the direct monitoring is off on your audio interface. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go into the settings. We're going to go to the audio settings inside the THU plugin. And you can see down here, I have my audio buffer size set to 64 samples. The higher this number is, the safer it will be for your CPU, but the more lag you will introduce into your signal in the form of latency. At 64 samples, I notice almost no latency and it doesn't bother my playing at all, and it seems relatively safe for my CPU. So that's where I like to set it, but you can get it all the way down to 16 samples if your CPU and audio interface will handle that. I'm just going to keep it at 64. But now that that's all done, we have our sound set up to monitor ourselves. So let's jump over to Logic real quick and I will show you the track that I am recording. So here we are in Logic and I just have some MIDI drums and bass. This is what it sounds like. So very simple song so far, just bass and drums. Let's look at our track here. We have our audio track and I have it set up to input 1, which is the guitar going directly into the interface there. Let's get our track armed and record the guitar and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so while we were recording, what you were hearing was the guitar that was being processed by the THU plugin, but when we play it back, you only end up with the clean DI signal. This is really, really useful if you just want to get your guitar tracks recorded, but then later on you want to go through and you want to reamp through a real amplifier, or you want to change amplifiers in the THU plugin or something like that. You can do that because you have a clean DI track. Okay, so we've covered monitoring yourself with the standalone plugin, but let's say we want to do it inside of our DAW. Let's go ahead and delete what we just recorded, and we're going to go to this track that we're just recording on, and we're going to add the THU plugin in. Now you'll notice we aren't getting any sound yet. We still want to have our direct monitoring turned off on our audio interface, but what we're going to want to do here is go into our DAW. And it's a little bit different in every DAW, but right here in Logic, we have this little button with an eye on it. That's going to be our monitoring button, meaning we are now monitoring with whatever plugins we have loaded up. And again, you might need to go into your DAW settings and change the buffer size just like we did earlier inside the THU standalone plugin, but the monitoring works exactly the same. So now that we have the plugin loaded up inside of Logic, we have our monitoring turned on, we can hit record and do the same thing, record that track. One of the cool things about monitoring inside of your DAW is you can just use the level here to adjust how much of yourself you are hearing versus the mix, which might help you out a little bit to even out those levels. Like if I turn the volume way down on the track that I'm recording guitar on, you can hear how much that adjusts the levels of my monitored guitar signal versus the rest of the mix. All right, hopefully you guys have found this video helpful. If you have, make sure to hit the like button. If there's anything you would like to see covered inside the THU plugin, don't hesitate to let us know down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.